Good evening, my little creatures of the night. Mr. Wendigo back again with your late night creature feature. Before we begin, I'm curious. Where are you listening from tonight? Alone in your room? Driving through empty roads? Drop a comment and let me know. I like knowing who's out there in the dark with me. Now then, let's see what tonight's tale brings us. Look, I'm gonna tell you what really happened to Station Nereus. Not the official story, not the one they fed to Congress or the families, the real one. You want another beer first? Yeah, me too. August 14th, 2019. That's when Nereus went dark. The Atlantic doesn't give a shit about your billion-dollar research platform or your classified objectives. It takes what it wants. And that night, it wanted everything. They told us Nereus was a mobile research station, converted nuclear waste transport, reinforced hull, operating along the western edge of the Bermuda Triangle. Scientists studying deep-sea pressure systems or some shit. That was the cover. The truth? Project Calypso. We were testing how unknown materials reacted at depths that shouldn't exist. Pressures that bent physics. We'd found something down there. Something old. At 0309 hours, sonar logged contact with an unidentified object. The thing didn't move. The water around it did. Pressure waves rippling outward like someone had dropped a stone in a pond, except we were 3 miles down and there was no stone. Radiation monitors spiked, then normalized, like something had corrected them. Hull breach alarms triggered across 7 compartments. No breach found. At 0317, surface radar lost contact. Nereus didn't implode. It sank, kept sinking past where the seafloor should have caught it, and deep down there, way past any depth our equipment was rated for, the station kept broadcasting. Life signs, plenty of them. They sent us in during a Category 5 hurricane, storm cover. Couldn't have satellites or civilian ships spotting what we were doing. 8 SEALs, me included, plus 2 civilians, Dr. Tiffany Rhodes, some kind of specialist in hydrodynamics, and Blaine Mercer, former Navy engineer turned contractor. The briefing room smelled like stale coffee and recycled air, the kind of smell that gets into military facilities and never leaves. Handler stood at the head of the table, holographic projection of Nereus rotating slowly above it, red warning glyphs pulsing across the hull like infected wounds. "Say it again," I told him. He cleared his throat. "We are reading life signs from a structure that should not physically exist at its current depth." "How deep?" "That was Kowalski, my second. Good operator. Polish family, grew up in Chicago. Had a wife and 2 kids waiting for him in Virginia Beach. Asked the questions I was thinking." The handler hesitated. You could see him choosing his words carefully. "Deeper than the continental shelf allows. Deeper than our maps show solid ground." I didn't react. I'd learned a long time ago that disbelief was a luxury you couldn't afford on these jobs. Missions didn't care whether you understood them. They happened anyway. "He'll deploy during the hurricane," the handler continued. "Storm cover prevents civilian observation. Standard insertion protocol. He'll use Nereus as a forward operating base for recovery operations." "Recovery of what?" I asked. The handler looked at me. Just looked. Then he said, "Everything." I glanced around the room at my team. Kowalski, my second. Solid operator, father of 2. His oldest was starting kindergarten next month. Chen, demolitions. Quiet guy from San Francisco, former Marine before he crossed over to the Navy. Best with explosives I'd ever seen. Martinez, communications. Kid from El Paso, 26 years old, engaged, wedding planned for December. Showed everyone pictures of his fiancée, whether they asked or not. Brooks, medical, older guy, early 40s, been doing this longer than most of us. Steady hands, calm voice. The kind of medic who could tell you that you were going to die and somehow make it sound okay. Desmond, weapons specialist, built like a tank, Georgia boy, talked slow but thought fast, had a farm waiting for him when he retired, chickens and goats and a pond for fishing. Park, technical systems, Korean kid from Los Angeles, computer genius, could hack anything with a circuit board, hated the ocean, joined the Navy anyway because his father told him to. And Reeves, the youngest, 24, fresh face, eager. This was only his third deployment. I'd seen him under fire in Syria. He didn't freeze, didn't panic. Just did the job. That's all you can ask. Then the two civilians. Dr. Tiffany Rhodes sat with her arms crossed, jaw tight, mid-30s, dark hair pulled back severe. She'd been with Calypso since the beginning, hydrodynamics specialist, they said. But I'd seen her file, the real one, xenobiology. They just didn't say that part out loud. She had a daughter, 7 years old, living with her ex-husband in Maryland. Tiffany hadn't seen her in 8 months, too busy with the project. Blaine Mercer sat 3 seats away from her, former Navy engineer, now contracted specialist, 40s, graying at the temples, hands that never stopped moving, tapping, fidgeting. He wouldn't look at Tiffany. She wouldn't look at him. I'd done my homework. They'd been engaged once, 6 years ago, right before Calypso started. The project came between them. She chose the work. He stayed with it anyway. Some people can't let go even when they should. Old history, bad blood, but also something else, familiarity. They knew how each other thought. In a situation like this, that could be useful or catastrophic. I caught the look between them when the handler mentioned recovery. Something passed there. Recognition, maybe fear, definitely guilt. Good. Tension sharpened people, kept them alert, or it broke them and you found out early. Either way, Calypso didn't care. Equipment check in 30 minutes, I said. We deploy in 2 hours. Get your heads right. The room cleared, everyone but Tiffany. She stayed in her seat, staring at the hologram of Nereus. Something you want to tell me, Doctor? I asked. She didn't look at me. The crew manifest was 22 people. Scientists, engineers, support staff, good people. Some of them I recruited myself. Okay, if they're still alive down there. They're not. She finally looked at me. You don't know that. Station's been dark for 3 days. At that depth, whatever happened, nobody's walking away from it. The life signs. Could be anything. Equipment malfunction, residual heat signatures. Hell, could be the station's automated systems registering themselves. We go down there. We document what we find. We extract the data. We leave. That's the mission. Her jaw tightened. There's something you need to know about what we were doing down there. I read the brief. No, you read the sanitized version. The one they give to people with your clearance level. She leaned forward. Calypso wasn't just testing materials. We were trying to communicate with them. With what? Whatever's been down there. We found evidence of structures, patterns in the trench topology that couldn't be natural, formations that suggested intelligence, organization. We thought if we could create the right stimulus, the right conditions, they might respond. I stared at her. You were trying to make first contact. Yes. In the middle of the fucking ocean. Where else would we do it? They've been there longer than we have. Longer than anything on land. If there's intelligent life we haven't discovered, the deep is where it would be. And you found something. She nodded slowly. We found something. And then Nereus went dark. You think whatever you contacted did this. I think we woke something up that should have stayed asleep. Great. Just fucking great. The descent took 4 hours. Our submersible detached from the surface vessel and dropped into water that felt wrong from the start, too thick. The hurricane churned above us, but down here the ocean was still, dead still. Wind howled topside, but we couldn't hear it. Just the ping of sonar, the hum of the engines, the breathing of 9 people in a steel tube dropping into the dark. The team was quiet. Everyone dealt with pre-mission nerves differently. Kowalski checked his weapon for the 5th time. Chen had his eyes closed, breathing steady, centered. Martinez fidgeted with his engagement ring. Brooks read a medical manual he'd probably memorized years ago. Desmond cleaned his sidearm. Park stared at his tablet, running diagnostics on equipment that didn't need it. Reeves looked out the viewport into the black water, face pale. Blaine sat next to the pilot, watching the depth gauge like it was going to tell him something important. Tiffany sat across from me, hands folded, staring at nothing. "Depth reading?" I asked. The pilot swallowed. Kid from the regular Navy, not special operations. This was his first Calypso deployment. Name was Henderson, 22 years old. Looked about 17. "Beyond expected parameters, sir." "Give me numbers." 15,000 feet. 16. 17. Kowalski leaned forward. "Continental shelf is 11,000 in this region." "I know," the pilot said quietly. "So where the hell are we going?" Desmond asked. Nobody answered. Outside the viewport, the water warped, not distorted by motion, refracted. Light bent at angles that made my eyes hurt, like looking through a lens that kept changing prescription. "Is that normal?" Reeves asked. "No," Tiffany said. "That's a pressure gradient. The water's density is changing. We're entering the anomaly field." "Anomaly field?" Martinez repeated. "That sounds bad." "It's where normal physics stop applying consistently. The materials we brought up from the trench, they generate these fields. Localized reality distortions." "In English, Doc," Kowalski said. "The laws of nature get flexible." "Oh, that's so much better." Then Nereus emerged from the black. The station sat on nothing. No seafloor, no support structure, no anchors, no cables. It hung there, suspended, a massive hull the size of a cargo freighter just floating in the middle of the water column like something had decided gravity was optional. The lights along its superstructure flickered, weak, dying. "Jesus Christ," Martinez whispered. "That's not possible," Tiffany said, but her voice was hollow, like she was trying to convince herself. I didn't answer. I was staring at the water around the station. It wasn't moving. Currents should have been tearing at the structure, ripping at loose cables, pushing debris, but the ocean held still, perfect stillness, like a photograph. Like the water itself was holding its breath, waiting for something. "Life signs confirmed," Martinez said, checking his scanner. His hands shook slightly. Multiple contacts throughout the station. "How many?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was careful. "More than the crew manifest, sir. A lot more." "How many total?" 37 distinct signatures. Tiffany looked up sharply. Crew manifest was 22. "I know," Martinez said. "Then what the fuck are the other 15? Desmond asked. Nobody had an answer. The pilot maneuvered us toward the docking port. Standard procedure: seal the clamps, equalize pressure, open the hatch. We'd done it 100 times in training. This time felt different. The clamps engaged with a heavy thud that rang through the hull. Pressure equalization took longer than it should have. The gauges fluctuated, up, down, up again. Like the station couldn't decide what pressure it wanted to be. "Henderson," I said, "you stay with the sub. Keep the engines warm. If we're not back in 6 hours, you leave." "Sir, protocol says..." "Protocol says you don't get trapped down here with us. 6 hours. Then you go. That's an order." He swallowed, nodded. Finally, the green light. Hatch opened. We filed through into Nereus, full tactical gear, rifles up, night vision ready, moving in pairs like we'd trained. The hatch sealed behind us with a sound that felt final. Inside, the station was wrong. I can't explain it better than that. Everything looked normal at first glance. Corridors, bulkheads, lighting, standard deep-sea station architecture, but something was off. The air pressure fluctuated subtly, enough to cause headaches, enough to make your ears pop every few minutes for no reason. Condensation coated the walls. That wasn't unusual for a deep-sea station. Humidity was always a problem, but this condensation didn't drip. It moved. Slow patterns across the metal, shifting like something was writing in it, like invisible fingers dragging through moisture. "Life signs?" I asked. Blaine checked the handheld scanner. His face went pale. The color just drained out. "Multiple. Spread throughout the station." "How many total?" I pressed. He stared at the readout, blinked, looked again like maybe he'd read it wrong. 37. Tiffany moved closer, looked at the screen over his shoulder. Her breath caught. "That's impossible. The station only has life support capacity for 30 people maximum. If there are 37, then someone's not breathing," Kowalski finished. The lights flickered. Somewhere deep in the station, metal groaned, not from stress, from adjustment, like the structure was settling into a new position, finding comfort. "Standard sweep protocol," I ordered. 2-man teams. "Martinez, you're with me. Kowalski, take Reeves. Chen with Brooks. Desmond with Park. Civilians stay here." "Like hell," Tiffany said. "I need access to the core systems. This is my station. I know the layout better than anyone." "Was your station," I corrected. "Now it's a recovery site." "You don't understand what Calypso was doing here. What we were working with. If the containment protocols failed..." "Contain what?" I asked. "The samples. The materials from the trench. They're not inert. They respond to stimuli, to pressure changes, to radiation, to presence. If they've been exposed, then we document it and report it. That's the job." She stepped closer, voice low, urgent. "Whatever's down here, it's responding to the materials we were testing. It's adapting, learning. If we don't contain it properly, if we don't understand what we're dealing with..." "Lady, if this station's been sitting at 17,000 feet for 3 days with life signs that don't match the crew manifest, there's nothing left to contain. We're here to document and extract data. That's it." Her jaw tightened. "You're making a mistake." "Maybe. Probably. But orders were orders. You stay here with Blaine," I said. "We clear the station, we come back, then you can access your systems." She wanted to argue. I could see it, but she also knew I was right. Civilians didn't go first into an unknown situation. We split up. Martinez and I took the main corridor toward the command center. Emergency lighting cast everything in red. Our boots echoed on the deck plating. Water pooled in places. Not a lot. Just enough to make you watch where you stepped. It was cold. Colder than it should have been with the heating systems running. "Sir," Martinez said quietly, "you ever do anything like this before? Recovery on a deep-sea station. Recovery where the numbers don't add up." I thought about lying, telling him it was standard, that everything would be fine, but Martinez was a good kid. He deserved honesty. "No," I said, "this is a first." That's what I was afraid of. We passed through 3 corridors without incident. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just empty hallways with flickering lights and that weird condensation moving on the walls. Then we reached Lab 3. The door was sealed, red light above it indicating lock status. That made no sense. Automatic safety should have opened all doors during an emergency, made evacuation easier. But this one was locked from the outside. Someone had deliberately trapped whoever was inside. Martinez cut through the lock with a thermal torch. Took him 90 seconds. The door hissed open. The smell hit us first. Death, but not rot. Something else. Salt water. Ozone. Like the ocean itself had filled the room. The man inside was wearing a lab coat. Name tag said Dr. Emil Vasquez, Xenobiology Division. He was sitting at his workstation, hands on the keyboard like he'd been typing when it happened. Computer screen still on, data scrolling, numbers and graphs I didn't understand. No water damage, no visible wounds, no signs of violence. But his chest had collapsed inward. His ribs were bent the wrong way, pressed flat against his spine, like something had reached inside his chest cavity and pulled his sternum toward his back. His lungs had been crushed flat, compressed. You could see the outline through his lab coat, the unnatural concavity where his chest should have been round. His eyes were wide open and dry. In a station this humid, after 3 days, his eyes should have been clouded, moisture should have collected, but they were dry, clear, staring at nothing. Jesus, Martinez breathed. I keyed my radio. Dante to all teams. We've got a body in Lab 3. Cause of death unknown. Chest trauma. Internal collapse. Stay alert. Kowalski responded first. Copy. We're seeing similar in crew quarters. Multiple casualties, all showing the same pattern. Injuries consistent with pressure trauma, Brooks added. The medic's voice was steady, but I could hear the confusion underneath. Doctors don't like things that don't make sense, but localized, like the pressure increased inside their bodies instead of outside, internal implosion without external cause. That shouldn't be possible. Pressure worked from outside in. Water pressure crushed things. It didn't expand them from within. I looked at Vasquez again, at his collapsed chest, at his dry, open eyes, at his hands still on the keyboard. The screen showed his last entry, time-stamped 3 days ago, 03:16 hours, 1 minute before contact was lost. It read, "Specimen response exceeds all projections, demonstrating adaptive communication, forming linguistic patterns. Recommend immediate containment protocol Omega. This is not a discovery. This is first contact, and they are not happy we woke them." The condensation on the walls moved, slow ripples spreading outward from the center of the room, like waves on a pond, expanding in perfect circles. "We need to keep moving," Martinez said quietly. His voice was tight, scared. He was right. Standing here staring at a corpse wouldn't change anything, wouldn't bring Vasquez back, wouldn't explain what happened. We pushed deeper into the station. The command center was a mess. Monitors shattered, control panels torn open, papers scattered everywhere, coffee mugs on their sides, liquid long since evaporated. A half-eaten sandwich on one desk, bread hard as stone now, personal effects, photographs, a child's drawing taped to one wall, crayon stick figures holding hands under a yellow sun. But the computers were still running, backup power, humming quietly, waiting. Tiffany had insisted on coming along despite my orders. She'd followed us with Blaine in tow. Now she was already at the main terminal, fingers flying over the keys. She knew the system, knew the passwords, knew what she was looking for. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Pulling the data logs. We need to know what happened in the final hours, what the crew was doing, what the specimens were doing. Can you access them remotely?" "Some of them, but the core systems are air-gapped, physical access only." She didn't look up from the screen. Calypso protocols. Nothing leaves the station digitally. Too many people want to know what we found. How long? 5 minutes. Maybe 10. I positioned myself at the door, rifle ready. Martinez watched the corridor behind us. Blaine stood next to Tiffany, looking over her shoulder at the data scrolling past. The station groaned again, deeper this time, a sound that came from the hull itself, metal under stress, or maybe metal adjusting to something, hard to tell. "Tiffany," I said carefully, "what exactly was Calypso testing down here?" She stopped typing, her shoulders tensed. "Materials," she said finally. "Unknown materials recovered from deep-sea trenches. We were exposing them to pressure gradients, seeing how they responded to different conditions." "Materials," I repeated. "Like what? Mineral deposits? Or biological samples?" "We didn't know. That was the point. We found something in the Mariana Trench 5 years ago, something that shouldn't exist at those pressures. Something organic, but not like any organic matter we'd ever seen." Martinez looked at me. I looked back. "Define organic," I said. Tiffany pulled up a file. Images filled the screen. They showed something that looked like coral, or maybe bone, or maybe something in between. Structures that branched and curved in patterns that seemed almost deliberate, almost designed. Growing in water where nothing should be able to grow. Thriving under pressures that would liquefy human tissue, turn bone to paste. The structures were translucent. You could see through them. Inside were patterns, geometric, mathematical, like circuits, like writing. "We brought samples back," she continued. "Started testing. At first, nothing happened. They just sat there, inert. Then we increased the pressure, introduced radiation, changed the temperature, and they started to react." "React how?" "They grew, changed, adapted, and they started affecting the water around them." "Affecting it how?" She pulled up another file. Video footage, lab environment, a small tank. Inside the tank, a piece of the material floating in water. As I watched, the water around it started moving. Not flowing, moving, rising up the sides of the tank, defying gravity, pooling on the top surface, forming shapes. "That's impossible," Martinez said. "We thought so too, but it kept happening. The material was manipulating the water at a molecular level, changing its properties, making it do things water shouldn't be able to do." The lights flickered. Somewhere in the station, something moved, heavy, dragging. "There's more," Blaine said quietly. He was looking at a different screen. They started communicating. "What?" I moved closer. He pointed at the monitor. It showed audio waveforms, recordings from the labs. The specimens were generating sounds, subsonic, below human hearing range, but we picked them up on instruments. And the sounds had patterns, repetition, structure. "Language," Tiffany said. "We don't know that." "Yes, we do. We ran it through every analysis program we have. Linguistic patterns, grammar, syntax. They were trying to talk to us, or maybe to each other." "How many specimens did you have?" I asked. She and Blaine exchanged a look. 17, she said finally. "Scattered throughout the station. Different labs, different containment protocols. All of them showing the same adaptive behaviors. 37 life signs, 22 crew members, 17 specimens, -2. "Got it," Tiffany said, pulling a data drive from the terminal. "We need to..." The door behind us slammed shut. Not slowly, not from pressure differential. It slammed, hard, like something had pushed it. The metal rang with the impact. Martinez spun, rifle up. "Contact?" I checked my scanner. Nothing showing. Then what the hell just... The water in the corridor outside started moving. Not flowing, moving, rising up the walls in defiance of gravity, pooling against the door, spreading. The condensation on the inside of the window began forming shapes. Letters. Slow at first, then faster. You do not belong. Oh, fuck, Martinez whispered. Tiffany stared at the message. Her face had gone white. It's learning our language. What is? She looked at me. Her eyes were wide, terrified. The water. The station shuddered, hard enough to knock us off balance. Alarms started blaring, hull integrity warnings, pressure anomalies, radiation spikes across multiple sectors. My radio crackled. Dante, this is Kowalski. We've got a situation in the lower decks. Hatches are sealing automatically. We're getting cut off from the primary corridors. Fall back to the docking port. Trying. The corridors keep flooding. The water is moving against us. Against you? It's flowing uphill, Dante. The water is flowing up the fucking walls, pooling on the ceilings. It's everywhere and it's not behaving like water should. Get to high ground. We're coming to you. Negative. Chen's hurt. Something in the water grabbed him, pulled him under. We got him out, but his leg's broken. Compound fracture. Brooks is working on him now. Stay where you are. We're on our way. I grabbed Tiffany's arm. Is there another way to the lower decks? She pulled up a schematic on her tablet, studied it. Emergency maintenance shaft runs vertical through the station. We can use it to bypass the flooded sections. Show me. We ran. The station was sealing itself, hatches slamming shut in sequence, compartmentalizing, like it was trying to prevent something from spreading, or like it was trying to trap us, keep us separated, make us easier to pick off. The maintenance shaft was narrow, barely wide enough for one person. Ladder rungs leading down into darkness, emergency lighting every 10 feet, red glow making everything look like a scene from hell. I went first, Martinez behind me, then Tiffany. Blaine brought up the rear. We made it 2 levels down before we heard the screaming. Chen's voice, high-pitched, panicked, the sound of a man in unimaginable pain. Then it cut off, just stopped. My radio crackled. Brooks's voice, shaking. Dante, Chen's dead. Something came out of the water. It looked like a person, but it wasn't. It was made of water. Shaped like a human, but not solid. It touched him, and his skin just started dissolving. Like acid. It ate through his suit, through his skin, straight to the bone. He was screaming, and then he just stopped. Where are you? Engineering section, level 3. We're barricaded in a storage room, but the water's seeping under the door. It's rising. We've got maybe 10 minutes before. A scream. Desmond's voice. It's in here with us. It came through the fucking walls. Gunfire. 3 round bursts. The distinctive crack of a 9mm. Then nothing. Brooks? Desmond? Anyone respond? Silence. I looked at Martinez, at Tiffany, at Blaine. Keep moving, I said. We found them in the engineering section. The door to the storage room was open. Inside, the bodies. Chen was barely recognizable. His skin had been dissolved, eaten away. Layers of flesh just gone. His skull was visible, his ribs, his femurs. Everything else was sloughed meat and pooled liquid. The bones were exposed, white, clean, like something had licked them. Desmond was in the corner. His chest had been crushed from the inside. Ribs exploded outward, broken cage. His heart and lungs were visible, shredded, hanging from the splintered bones. Blood everywhere, on the walls, on the ceiling, pooled on the floor. Brooks was sitting against the wall. He looked peaceful, almost asleep, except his eyes were open and full of water. Clear water where his pupils should be, where his irises should be. Just water, still, unmoving, like someone had filled his eye sockets with liquid. As I watched, his mouth opened. Water poured out, not dripping, pouring, a stream of it, impossible volume, more than a human body could contain. It just kept coming, liters of it, gallons. The water pooled on the floor, spread, and in that water, shapes formed. Humanoid outlines. They rose from the puddle, 3 of them, formed from the water itself, bodies translucent, faces almost visible, almost human, but not quite. Eyes in the wrong place, mouths too wide, proportions off. One of them looked at me. It didn't have eyes, just the suggestion of eyes, the memory of where eyes should be, depressions in the water, shadows. But I knew it was looking at me. It raised a hand, pointed. The hand had fingers, 5 of them, but they were too long, too thin, liquid digits that held their shape. Then all 3 dissolved, sank back into the water, gone. "We need to move," Tiffany said. Her voice was barely a whisper. Right now. We made it 3 corridors before we found Park. He was floating. Not in water, in air. Park was suspended 2 feet off the deck, arms spread, head tilted back. His eyes were open, but he wasn't moving, wasn't breathing, just hanging there like an invisible hand was holding him up. Water flowed from his mouth, just poured out, continuous stream that defied physics, running up the wall instead of down, pooling on the ceiling. The water moved with purpose, intent, like it knew where it wanted to go. "Park!" Martinez rushed forward. "Don't touch him," Tiffany said sharply. Too late. Martinez grabbed Park's arm. The water reversed direction instantly, poured into Martinez instead of out, into his mouth, his nose, his ears. He tried to scream, but the water was already in his lungs, filling him up from the inside. His chest expanded, ribs creaked, skin stretched tight. You could see the water moving under his skin, pooling, spreading, filling every cavity. His body was filling like a water balloon, stretching, distending. I grabbed him, tried to pull him away. His skin was cold, wet, but there was no water on him. The moisture was coming from inside, from his pores, from his eyes, from every opening. Martinez's eyes bulged, blood vessels burst, red spiderwebs across the whites. His throat worked, trying to cough, trying to breathe, but nothing came out. Just more water flooding in, pouring in, gallons of it from nowhere. His chest kept expanding, ribs bending outward now, straining against skin that split in thin red lines. Blood mixed with the water, pink, then red, then just red. He looked at me, right at me, terror in his eyes, pleading, begging me to make it stop. I couldn't. Then his chest exploded. Water burst from his body in a pressurized spray. His ribs snapped outward like a cage being torn open. The sternum cracked, separated. His lungs were shredded, pink foam and tissue. His heart was visible for a moment, still beating, still trying to pump blood through a body that was no longer intact. Valves opening and closing, muscle contracting. Then the water pressure liquefied it, turned it to pulp, to nothing. He dropped, just collapsed. What was left of him hit the deck in a spreading pool of salt water and blood and things that used to be organs. Park fell at the same time. Whatever had been holding him up was gone. He landed hard, skull cracked against the deck. I checked for a pulse. Nothing. His lungs were full of water. His skin was gray, cold. He drowned in a dry room, drowned on air. "We have to move," Tiffany said. Her voice was shaking but controlled. professional, clinical. It's hunting us, learning how to kill us efficiently, testing different methods, perfecting its technique. What the fuck is hunting us? I don't know. But Calypso woke it up, and now it's adapting, evolving. It's been down here for millions of years, waiting, watching, and we just gave it a reason to act. We ran. The station had become a maze, a nightmare. Corridors that should have been clear were flooded. Water that should have been ankle deep was pooling on the ceiling. Gravity was failing in sections. I saw equipment floating, papers drifting, a coffee mug spinning slowly in midair, droplets of water suspended, hanging, defying physics. My radio crackled, static. Then Kowalski's voice, faint, distorted, like he was underwater. Dante, lower decks, trapped. Kowalski, say again, you're breaking up. The water, it has hands. Kowalski, more static, then screaming. Reeves, the kid, the youngest of us, 24 years old, had his whole life ahead of him. His scream cut off abruptly. Then nothing. I tried raising them again. Nothing. Dead air. How many left? Blaine asked. I counted in my head. Chen, dead. Martinez, dead. Brooks, dead. Desmond, dead. Park, dead. Kowalski and Reeves, probably dead. Just us, I said. We're all that's left. Tiffany pulled up the station schematic. Her hands were shaking. The docking port is 3 levels up. If we can get there. If Henderson waited. He didn't, I said. 6 hours, I told him. It's been 7. She stared at me. Then we're trapped. Emergency ascent pod. Every deep-sea station has one. Where is it? She zoomed in on the schematic. Lower deck, reactor level. Of course it is. We headed down. The reactor level was quiet. Too quiet. No alarms. No emergency lighting. Just dim work lights casting long shadows. The air was warm here. Hot even. The reactor was still running. Still generating power. Still keeping the station alive. Humming. Steady. Mechanical heartbeat. We found Kowalski first. He was sitting on the floor, back against the wall. His rifle was across his lap. His head was tilted back, staring at the ceiling, mouth open. His throat had been crushed. Not from outside, from inside. Like something had reached down his throat and expanded, burst his trachea, collapsed his airway from within. His neck was swollen, purple. The skin split in places where the pressure had been too much. You could see the outline of his windpipe, ruptured, destroyed. Reeves was 10 feet away. The kid. He'd been torn apart. Not by claws, not by teeth, by water pressure. Focused, directed, like a water jet cutter. His body had been split from groin to sternum, clean cut, surgical. Everything inside visible. Intestines, stomach, liver, kidneys, pancreas, spleen. His spine was intact, holding the two halves together, but everything else was just open, exposed. Steam rising from the warm organs. His face was locked in a scream that never finished. 24 years old. Jesus Christ, Blaine whispered. They were trying to get to the pod, Tiffany said. She was looking at their positions, at the direction they'd been moving. They almost made it. The emergency ascent pod was in a sealed chamber, reinforced, designed to survive a reactor meltdown. The door was closed, locked. I entered the override code. The door opened. The pod was intact, operational, 6-person capacity, gleaming, untouched. Beacon of hope in this nightmare. Get in, I ordered. Blaine climbed in first. Then Tiffany hesitated at the hatch. "Dante," she said quietly, "the reactor. What about it? If the materials Calypso was testing are still active, if they're still down there in the labs influencing the water, they'll keep spreading. The entities will grow stronger, more coordinated. They'll reach the surface eventually, contaminate the ocean, spread to other areas, other stations, ships, coastlines. Not our problem. We report it when we get topside. Let someone else deal with it. There won't be time. By the time anyone believes us, by the time they mobilize a response, it'll be too late. We have to destroy the reactor, collapse the pressure anomaly. It's the only way to stop this from spreading, to contain it." I looked at her. "That'll vaporize the station." "I know. We won't make it out." "I know that too." Blaine leaned out of the pod. "Tiffany, don't. We can get out. We can warn people. We can." "And then what?" She looked at him, really looked at him. "They'll send another team. More people will die. This thing will keep learning, keep adapting, keep evolving. By the time anyone believes us, it'll be too late. This is the only way. There has to be another option." "There isn't." I stared at her, at the determination in her face, at the guilt, the responsibility. She'd started this. She'd woken these things up, and now she wanted to end it, needed to end it. "How long to set it up?" I asked. 10 minutes, maybe 15. I need to manually override the control rods, disable the coolant systems, force a meltdown. It's not complicated, but it takes time. And then the reactor goes critical. The explosion will be contained by the pressure anomaly. Everything inside the field will be vaporized. The heat and radiation will collapse the anomaly itself. Whatever these entities are, whatever connection they have to the materials, they won't survive it. Blaine was staring at her. "You're serious?" "Yes." "Tiffany." "Go," she said. Her voice was firm. "Final. Get to the surface. Tell them what happened. Tell them Calypso is done. Tell them we were wrong. Tell them some doors should stay closed." He didn't move. She stepped closer, touched his face, gentle, intimate. "I'm sorry for everything, for choosing the work over you, for dragging you into this, for all of it, for wasting 6 years we could have had together. Don't," he said, his voice cracked. "Don't do this. Someone has to." They looked at each other. 6 years of history in that look. Love and anger and regret and what-ifs all mixed together. All the roads not taken. All the choices that led here. Then she pushed him back into the pod. "Close it," she told me. "Tiffany!" Blaine lunged for the hatch. I pulled it shut, sealed it, hit the launch override. The pod detached, clamps releasing, motors engaging. Through the small viewport, I could see Blaine's face, screaming, pounding on the glass, mouth moving, saying her name. Then the pod shot upward, rockets firing, gone into the black water above. Tiffany and I stood in the empty chamber, alone. "You didn't have to stay," she said quietly. "Yeah, I did." "Why?" "Because someone needs to make sure you finish it, and because everyone else is dead, and because this is the right call even if it's the hard one." She nodded, understood. We went to the reactor. The core room was massive, cathedral-like. Reinforced walls designed to contain a nuclear meltdown, coolant systems, backup generators, radiation shielding. Everything you'd need to keep a deep-sea reactor running for years, decades. Tiffany went to work immediately, pulling cables, overriding safeties, manually configuring the control rods. Her hands were steady. She knew exactly what she was doing. She'd trained for this, prepared for this. Maybe she'd always known it would end this way. 5 minutes and the reactor goes critical, she said. The explosion will be contained by the pressure anomaly. Everything inside the field will be vaporized. Heat and radiation will collapse the anomaly itself. Whatever these entities are, whatever connection they have to the materials we brought up, they won't survive it. And us? We won't feel it. It'll be instantaneous. 1 second we're here, the next we're not. I checked my rifle. 60 rounds left. Not that it mattered. You couldn't shoot water. Couldn't kill something that had no body. Couldn't fight an ocean. The station groaned around us. Water began seeping through the vents, pooling on the floor, rising, spreading, coming for us. Shapes formed in the water. The entities. They emerged slowly, humanoid, fluid, their faces almost visible now, almost human. I could see features, eyes, mouths, noses, cheekbones, but translucent. Like looking at someone through frosted glass, like shadows cast by something I couldn't see. There were dozens of them. They stood in a circle around us, watching, silent, patient. One of them approached, taller than the others, more defined. Its surface rippled like heat distortion. It reached out, touched my forehead. The world exploded. Images flooded my mind, not words, not language, just raw information, raw emotion, raw memory, ancient memory. I saw the ocean as it was billions of years ago, primordial, toxic, boiling with volcanic heat. No life, just chemicals, just reactions, and in that chaos, the first stirrings of consciousness. Not cells, not bacteria, something else, something that existed in the water itself, consciousness without form, intelligence without body, awareness without structure. They evolved, grew, spread, became the ocean, became part of every molecule of water in the sea. They were the ocean. They are the ocean. They watched as life crawled onto land, watched as it evolved, changed, became complex, became aware. They watched as humans appeared, built fires, built tools, built cities, built civilizations. They watched as we discovered the ocean, started exploring it, started taking from it, started using it, started poisoning it. Then the images changed. I saw what we'd done. Oil spills, black tides washing over beaches, seabirds coated, unable to fly, unable to swim, choking, dying, thousands of them. Nuclear waste, barrels dumped into trenches, rusting, leaking, poisoning the deep, radiation spreading, killing, mutating. Plastic, mountains of it, islands of it, floating in currents, breaking down into particles that would never disappear, in the flesh of fish, in the stomachs of whales, in every organism, everywhere. Noise, ships, sonar, explosions, seismic testing, the ocean filled with sound that disrupted migration patterns, confused whales, drove them to beach themselves, killed coral, shattered ecosystems, overfishing, nets dragging the seafloor, entire ecosystems destroyed for profit, species driven to extinction, food chains collapsing, warming, the water getting hotter, degree by degree, coral bleaching, ice melting, currents failing, the entire system destabilizing, generations of poison, centuries of carelessness, decades of acceleration, years of denial, and beneath it all, these things, watching, waiting, ancient beyond comprehension, patient beyond human understanding. They weren't monsters. They were witnesses. They'd watched us poison ourselves, watched us destroy our own home, and they'd done nothing because they knew something we didn't. We were already dying. They just had to wait. The hand withdrew. The entity stepped back, It didn't speak, but I understood. The message was clear. We weren't worth fighting. We were doing the job ourselves. We were the infection. We were the poison. We were killing the ocean and ourselves with it. They didn't need revenge. They just needed patience. The entities began to dissolve, sinking back into the water, back into the walls, back into whatever dimension they existed in, back into the ocean itself. They were leaving, not because we'd beaten them, not because they were afraid, because we weren't a threat. We were a curiosity, a brief interruption, a species that had burned bright and would burn out just as fast. And when we were gone, the ocean would still be here. The ocean was always here. The ocean would always be here. The reactor began its final cycle, klaxons blaring, red lights flashing, temperature rising, pressure building. Tiffany sat down on the floor, pulled out a photo from her pocket, showed me. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, dark hair, big smile, missing her front teeth, wearing a yellow dress, holding a stuffed elephant. "My daughter," she said. "Emma. She lives with her father now in Maryland. I haven't seen her in 2 years. Too busy with Calypso. Too busy trying to prove we could control things we shouldn't even touch. Too busy playing God in the deep. Too busy trying to make history, and I missed her growing up." She looked at the photo for a long time, memorizing it, saying goodbye, tears running down her face. "Tell them," she said, "when you wake up, when they pull you out, when they ask you what happened, tell them we were never alone down here. Tell them the ocean has been watching since the beginning. Tell them we didn't die because we woke something evil. We died because we refused to understand what we were doing to the world. We died because we poisoned our own home." "I'm not waking up," I said. "Yes, you are. The entities showed me. They're letting you go. One witness, one survivor, to carry the message." "What message?" "That we're running out of time, that the ocean is dying, that we're killing it, that we're killing ourselves, and that some things can't be undone." The reactor detonated. The pressure wave hit like a wall, like being inside an explosion and outside it at the same time. Heat and force and light all compressed into a single instant, into a singularity. I felt my body come apart. Cells separating, molecules scattering, atoms splitting, everything going white, brighter than the sun, then black, darker than space, then nothing. Then I woke up. Not right away. 3 days later. Hospital in Norfolk, doctors in white coats asking questions, running tests, shining lights in my eyes, taking blood, taking scans, checking vitals. They said a fishing trawler found me floating in debris. Hurricane had pushed wreckage into their nets, strange wreckage, metal that shouldn't exist, alloys that didn't match any known composition, materials that bent light, that repelled water. They pulled me out, half dead, radiation exposure, severe decompression trauma, brain damage from oxygen deprivation, third-degree burns covering 40% of my body, hypothermia, shock. I shouldn't have survived, but I did. No station, no evidence, no bodies, no Project Calypso. The Navy said there was no such program, no station near us, no team, no deployment, no mission. I tried to tell them what happened. They said I was delusional, trauma-induced psychosis, radiation sickness affecting my brain. They showed me records. I'd been on medical leave for 6 months. Psychiatric evaluation after a training accident. No deployment, no mission, no deep-sea station, no team. I tried to tell them about the entities, about the things in the water, about what they showed me, about the message. They increased my medication. I asked about my team, about Kowalski, Martinez, Chen, Brooks, Desmond, Park, Reeves. They showed me records, all of them alive, all of them at different bases, all of them with no memory of Project Calypso, all of them with different assignment histories. I asked about Tiffany Rhodes, about Blaine Mercer. No such people existed, no records, no files, no history. They committed me. 6 months in a military psychiatric facility, white walls, locked doors, bars on windows, therapy sessions, group sessions, medication that made everything fuzzy, made me compliant, made me forget, doctors asking the same questions over and over, wearing me down. Did I understand that the mission wasn't real? Did I understand that the memories were false? Did I understand that trauma could create elaborate fantasies? Did I understand that I needed help? I said yes. I said whatever they wanted to hear. I smiled. I nodded. I took the pills. I attended the sessions. I said the right things. They let me out eventually. Medical discharge, full benefits, pension, honorable service record, glowing recommendations. All I had to do was stop talking about what happened, stop asking questions, stop trying to find evidence, stop looking for the truth. So I stopped. But it didn't stop. At night, water moves where there shouldn't be any. Condensation forms, shapes on windows, letters, words, messages. We remember you. In the shower, water clings to my skin, doesn't fall, just spreads, crawls upward, against gravity, like it's exploring, like it's checking, making sure I'm still here, still carrying the message. My reflection in mirrors blurs sometimes. The edges smear, like I'm not entirely solid anymore, like parts of me are still in the deep, still in that reactor room, still dissolving. My eyes refract light wrong. The doctors say it's cataracts from the radiation exposure. But I know better. I can see things in the water now. Shapes, movements, faces, things that other people can't see, the world behind the world. Last week, I went to the ocean, stood on the beach at Virginia Beach at sunset. The tide was going out, but the water at my feet was flowing toward me. Uphill, impossible. A shape formed in the surf, humanoid, fluid, familiar. It watched me. I watched it back. Then it dissolved, sank into the sand, gone. But not really gone. Never really gone. I know what it means. They're still watching, still waiting, still patient. They have all the time in the world. Humanity's drowning itself. One pipeline rupture at a time, one oil spill, one coal plant, 1 degree of warming, one species extinction, one dead zone, one bleached reef, 1 day at a time, killing ourselves slowly. We're doing the work for them. And when we finally go under, when the last of us slides beneath the waves, the things in the deep will still be there. Patient, ancient, forever. I'm not telling you this story so you'll believe me. Nobody believes me. The Navy doesn't. The doctors don't. My family doesn't. My friends don't. I'm telling you because you need to understand something. The ocean isn't empty. It never was. And the things that live in the deep places, they're not worried about us. They're not angry. They're not vengeful. They're not evil. They're just waiting. Because they know how this ends. They've seen it before. Other species, other civilizations, other intelligent life that thought it was special, that thought it could do whatever it wanted to the water, that thought the ocean was infinite and empty and theirs to use, that thought they were above consequences. All of them are gone now. Dissolved, absorbed, forgotten, reduced to sediment, to fossils, to nothing. We're just next in line. So yeah, that's what happened to Station Nereus. That's what Project Calypso really was. That's why I drink too much and don't go near the ocean anymore, even though I can still feel it in my lungs sometimes. Still taste the salt, still hear the whispers in the water, still feel it calling me back. You want to know the worst part? I checked after I got out, looked up the survivors, did my own investigation, found the truth they tried to hide. Blaine Mercer, the engineer, the man who loved Tiffany Rhodes even after she chose the project over him, the man who stayed because he couldn't let go. I found him, or what was left of him. He hanged himself 3 months after I got out. No note, no explanation. Just came home from work one day, went into his garage, tied a rope to the rafters, and hanged himself. But here's the thing. When they found him, his lungs were full of water. Salt water. In Kansas, 800 miles from the nearest ocean. They ruled it suicide. Didn't know how to explain the water. Ignored it. Filed it away. And his eyes were clouded, white, pupils dilated so wide there was almost no iris left. Just like Brooks. Just like the crew of Nereus. Just like the entities showed me. Tiffany's daughter Emma, the little girl in the photo, the one with the yellow dress and the stuffed elephant. She drowned last year. Bathtub accident, 7 years old. They found her with water in her lungs. Fresh water. Not salt water. Bath water. But when they examined her at the autopsy, when they looked close, they found something. Salt deposits. Crystallized. In the tear ducts. In the vitreous fluid. In the sinuses. Ocean salt. In a bathtub in Maryland. The ocean doesn't forget. And it doesn't forgive. It follows. Every day, I feel it more. The water calling, the deep pulling. My reflection gets less solid. My eyes refract more wrong. The edges of my vision blur. Sometimes I wake up and my pillow is soaked. Not with sweat, with salt water, ocean water. I can taste it. I'm changing. Slowly. They're not done with me yet. I'm the witness, the message, the warning, and nobody's listening. So when you're standing on a beach somewhere, watching the waves roll in, just remember something. The water's watching back. It's been here longer than you have. It'll be here long after you're gone. It remembers everything you've done to it. Every pipeline, every spill, every barrel of waste, every degree of warming, every dead fish, every bleached coral, every extinct species, every broken promise, every ignored warning. The ocean remembers, and it's patient, so very patient. Sleep well. Folklore note: the ocean has always been more than water. Across every culture, every coastline, every generation of sailors and fishermen and those who made their living from the sea, there have been warnings, rules, traditions that seem superstitious until you understand what they're protecting you from. The Polynesians speak of Tangaroa, the ocean god who commands respect and offerings before any voyage. Disrespect the sea, disrespect the balance, and it takes what it's owed. The ocean is not separate from the divine. It is divine. It is conscious. It remembers. Norse sailors knew about the Dragon, the ghost of drowned men who warn of coming storms. They understood something fundamental. The ocean keeps the dead, holds them, uses them. The water doesn't let go, ever. What sinks into the deep becomes part of it. Japanese folklore tells of the umibazu, massive humanoid shapes that rise from calm waters during twilight. Monks of the sea, they ask questions. If you answer wrong, if you show disrespect, they pull your ship under. Not in anger, in correction, in teaching. Indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest have stories older than memory about beings in the deep. They don't have a single name, Different tribes call them different things, but the message is the same. The ocean was here first, it will be here last, and it is not empty. Hawaiian tradition speaks of Kanaloa, the god of the ocean, not a metaphor, not a symbol, a living presence in every wave, every current, every drop. The ocean is aware, the ocean is watching. The ocean is deciding whether you deserve to float or sink. Celtic legends tell of the Seeestch, the mermaid who guards the boundaries between land and sea. Cross those boundaries wrong, take too much, poison the water, and she brings the ocean with her. Not to visit, to reclaim. Every culture that lives near water has the same warning in different words. The ocean is not ours. We are guests. And guests who forget their manners don't get invited back. Modern humanity treated the deep like a dumping ground, like it was infinite and empty and ours to use however we wanted. We acted like the ocean had no memory, no awareness, no limits. We were wrong about all of it. The ocean covers 71% of the planet's surface, contains 97% of Earth's water. We've explored less than 5% of it. The rest is unknown, unmapped, uncharted. The deepest trench goes down nearly 11,000 meters. The pressure there would crush a human body instantly, liquefy bone, turn tissue to paste. But life exists there anyway. Things that shouldn't survive, things that thrive in conditions that should be impossible. Organisms that can withstand pressures exceeding 16,000 pounds per square inch. That can process chemicals we consider deadly poison, that have existed, unchanged, for hundreds of millions of years. We call them extremophiles, evolutionary oddities, curiosities. Maybe they're just what the ocean needs them to be. Maybe they're not odd at all. Maybe we're the intruders. Maybe we're the temporary. Project Calypso is fiction. The station doesn't exist. The mission never happened. The entities in the deep are products of imagination and storytelling tradition. But the arrogance it represents is real. Humanity has spent centuries assuming the ocean exists for our benefit, that we can take from it endlessly, that we can fill it with our waste and it will simply absorb everything without consequence. That it has no limits, no memory, no awareness. We're learning otherwise. Dead zones where nothing can live spread across the ocean floor, entire regions devoid of oxygen, lifeless, growing larger every year. Coral reefs bleached white from warming waters, ecosystems that took millions of years to develop dying within decades. Fish populations collapsing, commercial species fished to near extinction, food chains breaking apart. Microplastics in every organism from surface to trench, in the flesh of fish, in the bodies of whales, in the deepest parts of the ocean where no human has ever been. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, an island of plastic twice the size of Texas, floating, growing, breaking down into particles that will persist for centuries. Oil spills, tankers rupturing, platforms exploding, black tides washing over coastlines, animals coated, suffocating, dying by the thousands. Chemical runoff from agriculture, fertilizers and pesticides flowing from rivers into the sea, fueling algae blooms that consume all the oxygen, creating underwater deserts where nothing can survive. Noise pollution, ships, sonar, seismic testing, the ocean filled with sound that disrupts migration patterns, disorients whales, causes mass strandings. And warming, the water getting hotter, currents failing, ice melting, sea levels rising, weather patterns changing, the entire system destabilizing. We did this, all of it. In the span of a century, we've damaged an ecosystem that existed in balance for millions of years. And the ocean? The ocean is still here, still vast, still deep, still ancient, still patient. The warnings were always there, in the stories, in the traditions. The folklore wasn't about respect, it was a warning about what happens when you forget. Every coastal culture figured it out independently. Don't assume the ocean is empty. Don't assume you understand what lives down there. Don't assume it's not watching. We didn't listen. The ocean doesn't need to fight us. It's been waiting, observing, learning, and it's decided we're not worth the effort. We're doing the job ourselves. Every poison we dumped, every ecosystem we destroyed, every warming degree, the ocean absorbed it all, watched us drown ourselves slowly. And what lives in the deep places, it's been patient for a very long time, but patience has limits. So the next time you're standing at the edge of the water, watching the waves roll in, ask yourself something. Are you alone? Or is something down there, just beneath the surface, watching back? The old sailors knew the answer. The indigenous peoples knew the answer. The fishermen knew the answer. They tried to tell us. We just didn't want to hear it. The ocean is not empty. It never was. And what lives in the deep places, it remembers everything. Every insult, every violation, every broken promise. It's been here longer than us. It'll be here long after we're gone. The only question is how much longer it has to wait. Well, boys and ghouls, that wraps up another terrorific tale from the vault. Oh, Dante. So brave. So stupid. Thought he could stop something ancient with a nuclear reactor. Thought the ocean would forgive us for centuries of poison. But some things don't forgive. Some things don't even fight. They just watch us drown ourselves and wait for the bubbles to stop. And now Dante sees faces in the water, feels the salt in his lungs, watches his reflection blur into something that's not quite human anymore. The ocean marked him. The ocean kept him. And every day he's a little less himself and a little more theirs. Just how we love it. If this story crawled under your skin the right way, hit that subscribe button. New creature features drop every day at 8 p.m. Central, and trust me, tomorrow's even nastier. Leave a like if you're never swimming in the ocean again, and drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Have you ever felt something watching you from the water? Ever seen movement in the waves that shouldn't be there? Ever stood on the beach and felt like the tide was flowing toward you instead of away? I'm always hunting for the next nightmare. Remember, the ocean isn't empty. It's just patient, and what lives in the deep places has been there longer than us. It watched the dinosaurs come and go. It'll watch us do the same. The only question is how much longer it has to wait. Until next time, kiddies, keep your fires burning and stay away from the water. This has been your late night creature feature. I'm Mr. Wendigo, and the deep always remembers.